One of the promises of the playbook is that we're not going to make you like the top 0.1% closer in B2B, but we're going to help you make the whole sales process so good that selling will be much easier. In this video, I want to walk you through the closers framework to close more deals as a high-ticket B2B business owner or marketer, even if you hate sales, so that you can solve branding and client acquisition for good. My name is Guillaume Jouvencel. I'm the co-founder of GHA Marketing, and I've launched and grown 107 B2B podcasts. I host 2 leading podcasts in 2 different niches, myself, corporate treasury and consulting, and this is how we go about approaching sales as a framework. Just for context, this video is part of a series of videos to complement a book called B2B Podcasting Secrets, where we break down our entire playbook on how we solve branding and lead gen for good for B2B businesses. If interested, I have good news. It is totally for free. This is a tiny part of the whole playbook, and the playbook is available for free in the description. You just have to click the link, enter your email address so we can send it to you, and you'll have the complete playbook to you. Let's get into it. So, for context, the closer framework is not from me, it's not from us, it's from Alex Hormozi. If you don't know who that is, check it out on the internet, you won't be disappointed. So, basically, the way he approaches this framework is really to close people in a one call, from ad to sales call booked to closed. This is not really how we approach B2B selling, especially high tickets. I think it's a really good framework to keep in mind when you think about your sales process overall and what are the different stages that your prospects need to go through in order to buy from you and being happy that they bought from you. So we're going to break it down, and obviously this is part of a multiple calls framework that we broke down in a previous video in this series. Let's get on with it. So what does closer stand for in the first place? So C stands for clarify, why they took action, why they showed up, why they basically booked a free consult or a sales discovery call with you. L stands for label them with the problem you plan to solve. So obviously they took action and booked a call because they have a problem. You want to label that problem very clearly and tie it to one of your solutions later. So labeling, super important part of the process. Then you want to overview their past pains and experiences. This is basically discovery, right? Going over what's the goal, where they are right now, what they've tried in the past to go there, what's the consequence of not doing anything, what's the consequence of getting the results, and so on and so forth. S stands for sell them the vacation, not the flight. So this is where we're going to bring a bit of nuance in B2B. I'm going to get back to this one. But it's basically, you don't want to tell people, hey, okay, you're going to go to the Bahamas, but for that you need to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, go to the airport, wait 2 hours, go through TSA or whatever it is, stand in the queue for a while, sit down, have like bad smells and stuff happening and like noise in the plane landing, finding out that they, lost your luggage whatsoever. You don't want to sell them on that. You want to sell them on, you're going to be sipping margaritas on a beach for 10 days. That's what you want to have happen. In B2B, we approach it a bit differently. I'm going to break that down further in this video. E stands for explain away their concerns. This is mainly objections handling. What we like to do is objections pre-handling, and I'm going to walk you through how we do that. R stands for reinforce their decision. So this is not part of the sales process, but more what comes right after people have bought, to get rid and kind of manage the buyer's remorse, which some people may have. And we're going to discuss how we can do this in a B2B. So this is the framework. And overall, again, it's a good framework to bear in mind when it comes to your overall sales process, but you don't have to see this as one single sales call when it comes to B2B sales, especially high selling, in our experience. So clarify why they took action and why they showed up. This is the part that we've kind of covered already with our entire process of pre-interview call, interview, off-air debrief, identifying some gaps, mentioning them, trying to understand how you can potentially help. So usually when you arrive in that first discovery call or that free consult that we build up thanks to the podcast, it's already pretty clear what they are trying to solve here, but it's always good to remind them of it. So this is why that's one of the things we cover in the opener of the free consult / first call, because it's important to remind them why they took action and why they decided to take you on the offer of getting into a free consult. So clarifying, super important, and framing everything that happens before the first official sales call in regards to that specific problem with specific VSLs, specific objections pre-handling, pre-resources. All that stuff will help you make it clear that they have a problem and that they are looking at solving it. For label them with the problem that you plan to solve is basically just saying, hey, so the purpose of this call is XYZ, and this is because you are facing this challenge within your organization. And labeling, like, it is because your systems are broken, you do not have proper cash flow forecasting, you do not have a leadership team that can actually lead and are just excellent technicians but not leaders. Like, labeling the precise problem is super important, because then when you're going to walk them through your solution, it's going to be much more obvious how that ties back to their problem. So label, super important part of the process. Overview their past pains and experiences. So there is a whole video that kind of tackled the discovery part of it. I think here what you need to try and do is mainly understand the consequences of them having experienced that problem for the time that they had that problem. And it's really making them kind of sit a bit in the pain to be like, oh, okay, so you're not generating as much revenues as you want, or you're not having a team as efficient as you'd like, or you're not having, people as happy as they should in their organization, or you're not leading people the way. Like, sitting in that pain and making them say it and go through it is important to then be able to tie your solution to that pain. Something that is good to do is also try and understand what's the consequence of not taking action in the future. Like, okay, that's all the pain that you've experienced, but what happens if you don't do anything about this? What's the cost of inaction, which in my opinion is almost as powerful, if not more powerful, than selling them the vacation. Because if the problem compounds, this is even better. When you sell, like, okay, solving this problem will bring you XYZ, but here is how not solving that problem will bring you ABC, which is even worse. People understand fears more than they understand rewards, so that's why you want to also have a healthy balance of the two. Sell them on the vacation, not the flight. So this is kind of the whiteboard sessions and co-building that I covered in the previous video. I think overall, the idea is to make them part of building the solution so that you already have their buy-in, and making them understand like that's the value of implementing this, and if we implement it fast, you will have the results faster. Explain where they're concerned. So the way we do this with our company and the way we help our clients solve that kind of problem, objections is usually where most B2B businesses, coaches, consultants kind of break their teeth, because they don't like to sell and they don't have a good way to handle objections, and it just ends up in like projects being delayed, people not signing up, stalling, and so on and so forth. So one of the promises of the playbook is that we're not going to make you like the top 0.1% closer in B2B, but we're going to help you make the whole sales process so good that selling will be much easier. So the way we like to explain where there are concerns is for them to come in a call without any concerns at all. So kind of pre-handling the objections. And so sharing case studies of people very similar to them, facing very similar challenges, and how you've helped them solve those challenges, in which time frame, with what resources allocated, and with what outcome is super, super important. If you don't have those, get some, because that makes the whole sales process much, much easier. We also like to have VSL, so video sales letter, which are kind of like 10 to 15 minutes videos explaining a specific aspect of our service and kind of handling objections that we know most people have, so that we can already tackle their concerns and be like, okay, but if you have this concern, this is what you also need to bear in mind and take into consideration, so that they are aware of it, and the conversation is much easier during the conversation, like live and in the call with the person. And overall, you should know what are the top 5 objections that you usually receive in a sales process, so that you know how to handle them. We like to have analogies as well, like tying back their objections to like simple analogies that they can understand and be like, yeah, okay, I see how that makes sense, is super, super useful, and also allows to kind of walk around the objections that they have. For the reinforcing a decision, so this is something we started doing way too late in our process, but it's always a good time to learn, right? So the way we do this and the way we invite our clients to do it is obviously never have anybody sit in no man's land, right? So always have a meeting booked for when you're supposed to start, the kickoff call and so on. You don't want people to organize stuff offline, because people usually drop, they don't know what's next. You want to book a meeting from a meeting, BAMFAM, which is also a concept from Alex Hormozy. What I personally like to do, and which is working terribly well, and that 99% of people are not doing because it actually takes a bit of work, is whenever a client actually signs and or make the payments, the first payments, and it wasn't live, or even if it was live in a call together with me, what I will usually do is at the end of my day, I will grab my iPhone, record a 30-second video in a selfie mode, and say, hey John, just so that you signed the contract, or thanks a lot for the call earlier, and like pumped to onboard you and having you with us. We're gonna do great things together, so thank you for your trust. Looking forward to kicking things off, date and time. Welcome to GHA Marketing. And that's it. 30 seconds, you send them that, And the way Alex did it with Agives in the past is that he was sending a handwritten card, and you have companies that do that, which is also potentially an ID if you have the address of the client, but basically doing a little something extra personalized when they make the purchasing decision to make them feel good about that purchasing decision, and kind of tackling the buyer's remorse is super powerful. It comes after the sales technically, but that helps with churn, that helps with refund requests. That's rather powerful. So that's how we think about the closer framework. Again, this is kind of a bonus video because this is not a sales training. It's just to help you see and understand how we see B2B sales and how we see our top performing clients approaching B2B sales. Hopefully this was useful. Again, if you liked this, there are two things I can direct you towards. Number one is, this is a fraction of the whole process we describe on how to build a brand and acquire customers with the B2B podcast. You have the whole playbook for free in the description, B2B Podcasting Secrets. It's about 70-75 pages. It is all our knowledge and all the things that we've done, implemented, and learned on to help 107 B2B businesses launch and grow a B2B podcast. So that's number one, it's free. Number two, if you liked this video and you want more, click on the subscribe button. You can also click on the little bell to be notified when we publish a new video so you never miss any in the future. Hope this was useful. Cheers.